Right on the dot. From the Naval Master Clock. It is on. Your boy Carcino had a wild night last night, ladies and gentlemen. From that phone call I had to take till now, I'm telling you, I got to make some changes in my life. I'm serious. And I can't party no more like that. Dude, you know how you see somebody you ain't expected to see? That's me. I saw my guy who is like one of my homeboys, man. Like, well, I can be honest with y'all. He's a shooter. He's one of those homeboys that's a shooter. And everybody thought he was gone. I thought he was probably dead. I haven't seen him in so long. I'm like, damn, they probably locked him up. So he did 5 years. He copped out to 5 years instead of no, he took it to trial and got 5. They tried to offer him like 20, and he did 5. So it became a celebration seeing my buddy back on the streets. Y'all better not really mess with me now. Anybody want to mess with me now? I swear to God, you better not even think about messing with me now. This is no way. This dude, you talk about clear them all out. Forget the fallout. Yeah. Now, let's get back to this. enough, enough of my homeboy. Now, listen. Stephen A. Smith has reported that there's more to come. And he's saying that there's more layoffs on the horizon. And I'm here to tell you that Stephen A. Smith is correct because Disney is letting go 7,000 people. A lot of them have been in Marvel and Disney complete. There have been a lot of African American people let go. There have been a lot of production assistants fired. A lot of firings happening within Disney, but they're losing 7,000 jobs. That's a lot of jobs. A lot of high-paying jobs. $7 million salaries gone, cuts. Now they're only going to bring in certain tiers. See, I already knew some things weren't going right within the company because Stephen A. was supposed to have a show. That didn't happen. Once I saw that, the show didn't take place, something went wrong. I knew what went wrong. Stephen A. Smith expected no one to understand or know what was going on. See, when Stephen A. Smith signed his deal, when he signed his contract or when he got rid of Max Kellerman, right? Stephen A. Smith, part of his arrangement was that he wanted to start his very own and have his own like company. Well, not his company, but his production company. He wanted to produce his own nighttime, like where he interviewed guests, like Shannon Sharp was doing. Club Shay Shay. He wanted to do that on ESPN. So that was on the table and the horizons to be explored. Now, here's where the problems kicked in at. The numbers wasn't quite adding up. Nothing was quite matching. So they didn't deem it worthy enough for them to spend this type of money. They didn't deem that important enough. That's right. Hit the like button coming through the deal. Or thanks, Jamil. Appreciate it. Now, there's a lot of different notions out there about what has transpired. But it was quite weird and odd listening to Stephen A. Smith act as if he's really concerned about other people losing their jobs. Some people were his friends saying he's going to be there for Max Kellerman. All kind of garbage that he was talking. It was almost like he believed it. And I'm like, this dude is really delusional. Oh, yeah, he was killing us with that. I'm going to be there for you. I'm always going to do that. Just because I didn't want to, do a debate show with you don't mean that I don't like you. Like, he was really, like, losing his mind. I could do Sports Center with you. Don't mean just because I just didn't want to debate with you for 2 hours a day no more. I'm like, why you didn't want to do that? What was wrong with Max? I didn't get it. Maybe y'all could get it, but I didn't. I didn't see anything wrong with Max that would make Max such a problem. Didn't see it whatsoever. But I understood that it wasn't a good fit with Stephen A. He was right. But Max isn't a problem. He's smart. But for Stephen A., it was the wrong reasons. He made Stephen A. look dumb. And Stephen A. likes to be the smartest guy in the room. And he couldn't do that with Max. So he didn't like it. He naturally didn't like it. Now, back to the firings. Now, we've known for years that ESPN was on the cusp of this right here. It's been a lie. Number one leader in sports. They just had all these outlets, so they were paying for the title. Like, we're the number one leader in sports. Here's the title. It's ridiculous. We're the number one leader of sports. So, you're not. People watch more Undisputed more and more than they were watching. Oh yeah, without a doubt. People didn't care about look, people did not care about that show like you may have thought. First Take had a lot of publicity, but when Skip left, it hadn't been the same. A lot of people weren't watching it like that. Skip and Shannon Sharp became must-see TV. They lacked the passion for what was going on the show. They didn't have that passion. They didn't have that fire, that drive. So without it, it became a bland rendition of itself. They thought by switching the guests up, it's going to make it exciting. If we just switch the guests around, then everybody will be interested because we're switching the guests around. It's going to be entertaining every day. Not really, because some people, if they do like the person, now they got to wait a whole week just to hear from the person instead of waiting to hear from the person the next day if something happens. So that serves no purpose in the end. But it was something very interesting that Stephen A. Smith said that caught my attention. And once I heard it, I said, wow, that caught my attention because I did not expect Stephen A. Smith to have such a take that was, to me, just kind of ridiculous. In the light of his friends just being let go the way they were, to me, it was a little like, what the hell are you talking about? But he has a worker's mentality. And when someone has a worker's mentality, this is the norm. This is what I expect from somebody with a worker's mentality. Their mind and our minds are entirely different. Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Yep, McMenamin got a job. He's with LeBron. LeBron people are not getting let go. Now, yeah, let's look at this thing in totality. Let's listen to what he says.
But if we're going to be real about it, let's deal with reality. This ain't the end.
This ain't
More is coming.
More is coming.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I could be next. Let me tell y'all something. Don't ever, ever, ever in your life as a black person take anything for granted.
See, here's the thing. It's not being a black person, Stephen A. It's about being a person, period. A person should never take anything for granted. No matter if they're black, Hispanic, you think somebody who's Pacific Islander can take things for granted? No, they can't. You think somebody white can take things for granted? No, they can't. Nobody should take things for granted. Stephen A. Nobody.
I told you before, when white folks catch a cold, black folks catch pneumonia. The Neil Everett's are gone. The Jeff Van Gundy's are gone. David Pollock, outstanding college football analyst. Love him. He was one of the casualties. Todd McShay, college football analyst extraordinaire, especially for the NFL draft. He's part of the casualties. Love him. You didn't think black folks was going to be on the list too?
When they said they were letting people go, Stephen A., did I think that ESPN was going to keep all the black folks and fire all the white folks? Did anybody believe that? Absolutely not. But we thought people such as Jalen Rose should definitely still have his job because he was better at it than you. Malika Andrews, who's a newcomer, she gets to keep her job and she's getting a raise. They're going to keep that on the low till all of this firings are down. But they already know Malika Andrews is going to get a raise. So when you heard what he said? He said, when white folks get a cold, black folks get pneumonia. Do you know why he's saying that? Because it's just like he said, Master, we sick. We sick, Master. Oh, Lord, Master got a cold now. I don't feel well. That's because you told Black America and the whole world that your strategy in life is waking up thinking, how can I make my boss more money? And how can I get a piece of it? That's what I think every day. That's my mental process. And that's why you just said that dumb statement right there. When a white man gets a cold, a black man gets pneumonia. Because you know why they would get it? Because they are tying themselves to the white man. And you're promoting that they do as such. You have a house Negro mentality. And you try to push that narrative onto everybody else. And now, when being a good house Negro isn't no longer working for you, now you want to go and look at everybody else and point the finger at them. Saying, see, look what's happening to everybody around me. All my friends are gone. But you ain't gone. Oh, you know you ain't going. Not now. You the staple. They know you gonna do what bosses says. They know you gonna toe the line. Your back been broke. The Ray Rice incident was the last time they was gonna ever see you have any little bit of man in you whatsoever. Oh, they broke it out of you then. Chris Berman. Back. Sexist. Tyrant at ESPN. But he's great at his job. He's a staple. And everybody's like, they fired him. They had to demote him. So, Stephen, it's not about what you just said. It's not about anybody could be next. I'm next. I could be next. Anybody, did you not think black people was going to be on the list? Nobody black has said we didn't think black people was going to be on the list. Where you hear that from? Who told you that? You find an angle to bring in all these people that got fired. This is why, as black people, we have to promote being bosses. Stephen A. Smith, you're late to the show. You should have had your Stephen A. Smith show 6-7 years ago. How Shannon Sharp lapped you already. This is why Pat McAfee is coming over getting $100 million in the house you built up. They didn't mind paying him $100 million. They got you sweeping the floor. You gonna do Sports Center. You gonna do any other odd job they got. He got to come in and do the Pat McAfee show. That's it. And he gets $100 million. How does that make you feel, Stephen A? That's right, Kev. Absolutely. Oh, the dude from college football who I like, the dude from Georgia, when he said Georgia run the whole college football right now, and he said that to Nick Saban when Nick Saban was right there next to him, and he said that in front of Nick Saban, that Georgia runs the whole thing right now. That's what got him fired. He probably would still have a job today if he didn't open his mouth and say that live right there in front of Nick Saban's face. And he's from Georgia. I knew he was gone. I forgot dude's name. I think his name's like Christopher or something, but yeah, man, he was gone. Jim Rome has been on ESPN like for 50 years before that. So Rome is burning and all that. He had about 3. Oh, David Pollack. Yep. David Pollack, man. That dude was something else. That was crazy. Pollack is gone. Thank you. Super chat works. My cash app is Carcino, Karceno. Yeah, he's a linebacker at Georgia. I remember he got it like his neck broken in the NFL. Broke a bone in his neck. Well, technically, I guess he did lose his wife to Stephen A. Professionally, because she ain't gone. Molly ain't going nowhere. No, because this is what I talk about when you don't have an entrepreneur mind, you have a worker mind. So workers get fired. Entrepreneurs, they find a way to make money for themselves so that they don't have to be fired. And while you were looking down on people on the internet, you were looking down on the actual people that were making their own commentary on Twitter, on YouTube, and everywhere else. Now, all of y'all are running to YouTube. All of y'all are running to the internet. All you major outlet, cable, network people, because we knew the writing was on the wall. Everybody wants to get that that big contract because it alleviates work. It's saying, okay, great. All I got to do is show up and I get a check. Thank you. That's all I wanted to see. All I needed to do was show up, I get my check, and everything's copacetic. You see, that's all they wanted. That's what Stephen A. Smith wants. He wants to show up, get paid, and that's it. He goes home. He gets a check. Some people like the comfort of that. They don't want to have to be responsible for creating their own money. They don't want to have to be responsible for this. It takes a lot. It eats up your days. It's going to ruin relationships. The whole nine. When I was on Patreon, I was on Patreon. Patreon was a company that had only been out like a year. Never like what it is today. I hit up Patreon probably 5-6 months later than I should have. I always said, I'm going to start one. I'm going to do it. But it took right after the funeral of my grandmother. That's when I did it. My grandmother passed. I set up my Patreon. And my cousin had just died. I set the Patreon up right then and there. Like, I was like, that's it. I'm going to set up my Patreon and start doing this because it could all end tomorrow. And I'm going to need another line of revenue stream just in case they start tripping over here. I own my content. I can provide VIP type content over there. My July 4th was July 2nd and 3rd. I'm done. 4th is recovery day. It's already Tuesday. That's how out of it I am right now. I'm still in recovery mode. I can't kick it like that no more. You see, Stephen A. wants you to be in line. And there's a lot of people that agree with him because they have a worker's mentality. A lot of people can't see things because they don't know how to be entrepreneurs. People want to be entrepreneurs. You know those people when the money's already working, the money's already coming in. You see those guys? The money's already coming in, and they see the money coming in. Oh yeah, then I want to get in because they see the money. They don't want to be there to put the work in before the money get there. They be, man, I got to do all this. When do I get paid? When do I get paid? It's like, well, you got to put the work in for a while. You got to create it. So it's going to take some, but you're building towards something. Oh, man, this thing ain't going to probably pan out. I don't want to put no work in like that. It's like, it's really not a lot of work when you think of it. I would probably be doing more work than you, but okay. I get it. Right, you got to have something. You can't have one revenue stream in your life going on. In today's time, it doesn't work. This is why people are doing ride shares. People are working their job and then they do part-time delivering food. They're doing everything they can to stay relevant. You got to. In this new era, you can't afford to sit down and say, I'm going to chill. Chill will get you killed. Chill will get you killed. People out here have roommates. They're 35 and 40 with roommates. People are saying, oh, wait a minute. Roommates. Yes, roommates. 30 and 40 years old, and they're having roommates. Yeah, I know. A lot of you will start asking questions like, well, why do they got roommates for? Because the reason that they have these roommates is because they can't afford to be out there paying bills by themselves. So if you're single, most of these single people now have roommates, even the females, they're roommating it. I told you I dated a girl who broke up with her boyfriend. They still had to live together because they was in the lease, and neither one of them could afford to go anywhere. They had to ride it out. Right. You can have a job, but build your future. Don't just depend on your job. Stephen A's trying to do that now with the Stephen A. Smith show. Look at him. He's now trying to do that. He's 5, 6 years too late. He's trying to get involved now because he knows the writing has been on the wall. No, ESPN don't own that. That's with FanDuel. He has his contract with FanDuel. So he owns the Stephen A. Smith show. That's why he's allowed to talk about things there he can't talk about on ESPN. But he should have did this in 2016 when Skip Bayless left. When he got his contract. He could have been setting up for himself, because what he does not realize is that he's bigger than ESPN. They need you. That's why they pay you. You are so subservient to these people. You make them believe that their value is so much greater. No, they need you, fool. You were in the driver's seat. You were in control. Now you're not. They don't care if you gonna go and leave and go over with Skip Bayless. You can't dangle that over their head no more. They gonna be like, you gonna need a home, so you better stay here or else. That's why they bringing in Pat McAfee, who's from the internet, right? The internet. That's where he built himself up. He was on FanDuel on the internet. He wasn't on cable. He wasn't on broadcast television. He did it on the internet. Joe Rogan built himself up from the internet. You see how that works? You see how that pans out? You see, now they're getting it. Now you see all the rappers. They're coming out with podcasts and, yo, I'm going to tell my story on the internet, because they know cable is a dead technology now. Nobody's paying out that kind of money anymore for making an album. People don't really watch music videos anymore. They don't. That's dead. So your MTVs, your BETs, VH1s, nobody's watching them. Do anybody remember Joe Rogan from Fear Factor? Rogan with hair and 70 pounds lighter. Hi, I'm Joe Rogan from Fear Factor. You didn't know Joe Rogan until you saw him on Chappelle's show doing Fear Factor. Before that, he was doing UFC. Absolutely. He's claiming a lot. He claimed a lot already. But this is just the key of his mistakes. Let's listen to some more.
That's always the case. And the one thing that I can tell you about Stephen A., this ain't 2009. I really didn't see it coming. My eyes are always wide open now. I'm never comfortable. I never take anything for granted, and I never assume that I'm safe. And first takes number one, and been number one for 11 and a half plus years. Now, as an aside, veering away from ESPN before I get back to ESPN and Disney, let me address something to some of the haters out there about me. Y'all can kiss my ass.
He's going to tell me I can kiss his ass. Why are you so mad at me? This man got mad at me and said I could kiss his ass. You hear that? Hey, hit the like button, man, because this is getting crazy. Hit the like button up. Subscribe to the page. Yes, the Cash App is Carceno, Carceno. It's in the banner. Like, share, subscribe. My Patreon's there is Carceno for life. Yes, I will be doing a Patreon version to this. But he's big mad. Why are you mad? You see that? Why is he so mad? Why are you mad, Stephen A? What's going on?
Twice.
Kiss your ass twice.
And I'm talking about the people. I'm talking directly to the people in the industry who sat up there and said, why isn't Stephen A gone? Ladies and gentlemen, we got a few people at ESPN getting paid more than me. They don't have the #1 show. They don't have the top ratings. They don't generate more revenue. How come y'all didn't bring their names up? And by the way, none of them are black. How come you didn't bring their names up? I wonder why. I'm talking to those folks, the critics in the media, or the wannabe medias with blogosphere and the websites that never went through the terrain of being official members of the fourth estate. I'm talking about them. How come y'all didn't bring them up? But me, who's been #1, who's got the top rated show, who, by the way, is an executive producer on that top rated show, my name comes up.
Well, he's definitely talking to some other people because I already knew you wouldn't be fired. You already know you wasn't going nowhere. They already gave you the memo. Because here's the news, people, and I want to be clear. I love how the way the media was using it, and the internet media that he's talking about is the people that want to see him gone, is the internet media, the right-wing Trump-supporting media that portray like they care about sports. They really don't. They just don't like any liberals, period, no matter where they are on television. And Stephen A is what they consider another liberal. They want him out too. So they were bringing that up. And a lot of people just don't like Stephen A. It was like, why you ain't fired? You should be going over Jalen Rose. Now, over Jalen Rose, yes, definitely. But this is a contract thing. See, it's amazing to me how they put it. Like when blacks were gone, they were fired, but the white people were laid off. You see how that is? Max Kellerman, they considered him black because they said he was fired too. Well, Max is fired. But realistically, they were all laid off, not to return. So it's basically thank you for your service, but you will no longer be on ESPN. So a lot of people didn't see, like he said, he didn't see this coming. He didn't see it coming. Oh, he might want to join Patreon after I go nuclear on Patreon today. I might bring Patreon members up in this chat today. And see what they want to say about this. But let's look at it from what he was just saying, because I want to break down what's actually happening at ESPN. The reason why Stephen A. Smith will not be laid off is because he makes too much money. That means they have to pay him the remainder of his contract. So you're going to be paying this guy anyway. You're going to have to pay the 8, 9, 10 million that he's earning anyhow. Let him do. Why are you going to take him off your number one show, flagship show that you have? No, you don't do that. You don't rock with that boat anyway. So that boat's going to be there. Malika Andrews is more NBA than she is ESPN. Her contract with ESPN, and now that she has the NBA attached to it, they can't just fire Malika Andrews, because now you have to go deal with the NBA. The NBA is going to have some say in this process. You see, Rachel Nichols, the NBA had to sit her down when ESPN didn't want her fired. Once this became public, the NBA had to act first and said, we're not going to have Rachel Nichols do this when this controversy is going on. So in ESPN was like, well, if we don't have Rachel Nichols interviewing NBA players, then sorry, Rachel, you got to go. LeBron couldn't even save her in that moment. So Rachel Nichols had to go. Exactly. So that's why Stephen A is there. When he's saying more to come, yes, more is going to come because people have contracts that are expiring. So those people contracts, they're just going to let them play on out. And then they already probably been informed that they're not going to be back. Vince Carter is going to be gone. His contract ends in September. So there's no need to lay him off when his contract's going to end in a couple of months. So that would be dumb. Just let him continue his work to September, then you move on. There are a lot of other people there whose contracts are up. So like I don't even know what's going to happen with Jay Williams. His contract is up. It's coming right up. And he's another one that the contract negotiations weren't going well and might be going to Fox or someplace else. If you're a 6-foot blonde, you might be on your way to Outkick, like a couple of other female workers that used to be at ESPN went. They took the Outkick road. So this is what Stephen A. Smith isn't telling you. Now, why a man such as him in his position know how this works, not telling you? He's not telling you why this situation is. He's the man with all this information. How do I know more than you? And I'm just a blogger on the internet. How do I know more about the situation of why people aren't let go and why people are remaining? How do I do that? How do I know that? And you sitting right there and you work for the company. You get paid by them. Why don't you know? You're sitting right there in that chair with a microphone in your face, and you're not telling them. You're not telling your listeners the truth. You're not talking about ESPN, Mob Connection. You're not talking about that. Why? RC, not far from Bristol, Connecticut, is it? They don't talk about his family and where he's from and what he do. Wonder why. See, that's why we have the Patreon, so that we can go into these tropes that they won't let us do on YouTube. So if you're on the Patreon, you know all the way, you know everything you need to know about the president of ESPN and what a so-called right-wing supporter he is. Okay, there we go. We're not getting the car wet. Cool. You see, most Italians, some of them, were disgusted by their family's past history as far as being connected with organized crime, that they would change their last names. Because it was so much disgust that came along with the name that they would be singled out. So when you see Pitaro, don't kind of connect back to who he's really related to. We'll just leave it there. But on the Patreon, you can already look that up and find out what really went down and know who he's really connected to. And now he's the president of ESPN. And what did he do since he got there? He brought in the good old boys. Yeah, the good old boys. You see, they play woke, but they're not woke. Those people are right-wingers. And those right-wingers don't want to hear no doggone unity, none of that crap. They ain't trying to hear any of that noise. But Stephen A. is not informing you as to why these situations are happening. Why are these people being laid off, Stephen A.? You say you didn't see it coming. Okay, well, tell us why. Why you won't tell us what we need to know, Stephen? Isn't that part of your job to let us know what's happening? He should be detailing what's happening around the country, shouldn't he? I mean, around the company, tell us sports, tell us something that we don't know, Stephen. Other words, why are we listening to you? You can't tell us anything. What's the point? Well, here's why the ESPN employees are being laid off. A lot of this has to do with Disney because Disney is their parent company. Disney lost a lot of money. ESPN lost a lot of money and does not have a lot to do with Marvel movies and films as people may think. This has everything to do with cable. We just spoke about it. Cable. Cable has just lost the NFL. Its major staple. DirecTV has lost it. Everybody has seen it. It is a known fact. Now the writing is on the wall. And now companies like TNT that you see, TNT has had the playoffs for the last 35, 40 years. They've been covering the NBA and having their own licensed game only on TNT. But TNT is a company that doesn't have an app. So now, since TNT doesn't have an app, and we're in this new era, not everybody can get the games. And TNT has an exclusive contract with the NBA for certain high profile games. And a lot of people aren't eligible to get it, which it irritates Adam Silver. Now, because these games, if they were on ESPN, somewhere who has an app, everybody can be able to see it somewhere on their phones or anywhere else. But since they can't get the TNT games on their phone, unless they have this cable outlet and they can download the cable company's service, like they have a app service that you can do that, but he don't care about that. He's like, who wants to download the entire cable access app and then try to find TNT in the game where you can watch TV on your phone? You'll have to go through a whole lot of hoops, but not a lot of people have that service where you can go anywhere with your cable. And because of this fact, people, these are one of the major factors that people are cutting the cord. People are cutting the cord with cable, period, because they could just get basically the apps to what they want. They don't want to have all the channels anymore. And with internet television, like this was the kicker too. ESPN and everybody else, they have a deal with YouTube. YouTube has become a internet and television provider, a service provider, instead of just being a place that distributes video. They're now a television service. So now you have YouTube TV and YouTube services to where you can buy your channels through YouTube. And now YouTube has just purchased the NFL. So now you get the NFL ticket. All the games now are going to be on YouTube. I got out at the right time. So now it's not going to be on DirecTV anymore for the first time in forever. They outbidded DirecTV. Unbelievable. Yep, hit the like button, good people. See what I tell you when they don't tell you things? This is what I be talking about. Now, why isn't Stephen A telling you stuff like this? Because this is why 7,000 jobs are gone. It's that job you have that's working against yourself. You never been hired to do a job to answer phones and call people and tell them, hey, we're here to help you sign into your benefits. And then we're going to say, next time, you should go online. You can do it yourself online. But if they keep going online to do it and they keep hiring people to tell people to go online to do it, pretty soon they're going to be online doing it. They're going to cut your job. You're going to do such a good job getting people to sign up and go online to do it, to the fact that you're not going to have a job. So you're working against yourself. And pretty much that was what was happening here. They started working against themselves. And now their app, ESPN Plus, they launched it and it was completely nonsense because they didn't have the programming that would attract people. A whole bunch of documentaries that we've already seen about players that we've already known. It's like we've seen every Tom Brady documentary. It's like, what could you tell us new about Tom Brady? We've seen it all. We know about Fumblegate and all that. What new can you tell us about Tom Brady? We already know all of this. We need something else. Tell us some real stories. I'm looking at old 30 for 30s. And then you're going to show them on ESPN anyway. So what is the exclusive content? Oh, UFC. We all want to watch the UFC. They overpaid for the UFC. And now they have no superstars in the UFC. Who's a star in the UFC? Nobody can tell you. They're all retiring and they're gone. The sport is dead because they didn't know how to promote their talent. So and we didn't even get to Fire Sticks, an illegal streaming service. People being able to get it illegally and steal people's cable and stealing. Now you can steal it in its highest quality. Back before, it would, not be the best of quality. Now you can get it in 1080p, 4K. Back then it was 1080p. Now you got it in 4K quality. Without the fraction of any doubt, people understand now that this is what things detail. This is what it takes. This is an all-around business. Everybody lives in a circle. that one thing affects another. And once that people understand that this is the reality that they live in, where one thing that they do affect another thing, then the better off people would be. I don't think there's enough people that understand that reality. They don't respect it enough. YouTube is free? Nah, not channels. Not if you want to get cable. You could buy HBO and just have HBO on your television. You could buy Showtime. You could buy the channels you want. And the NBA is going to go into a negotiation, a very large negotiation with TNT, because they're going to want to try to break that contract unless TNT and Turner break what this deal that they have in place right now. Because what it's doing is actually hindering what they want to do moving forward, because not everybody's got TNT and cable, and the numbers are low, and then they're putting high tier quality games in there, and this just don't sit well with the NBA right now. They don't like it. They honestly can't stand it because their game is so international. People would have to get cable in order to see those games. So it's pissing them off because they got to sit here and endure it. They have no choice. They're trying to find a way out of this contract, and they have not been successful. Oh, you're going to hear more about it. It's coming around. See, this is the type of information that you should be getting when from a Stephen A. Smith. You shouldn't have to get this information from me. They supposed to be the ones to tell you about this. They get paid millions of dollars. You get paid 12, 8, 9, 10 millions of dollars, Stephen A. And you're not telling them about this? Why not? Why do people don't know about this? Why do I know? How do I know? If I'm just a guy on the couch playing a PS5 game, how the hell do I know? How do I know why everybody's being laid off and you don't? That don't sound right, Stephen A. That sounds presumptuously stupid. Yeah, the fact that I know something and he doesn't, and he gets paid millions of dollars to be on television, like he's the know all, end all, be all of everything of human existence. Why don't you? No, Steve. That's the big question. You don't know because you don't care. As long as your job is protected, long as Master said you gonna be all right. They was in that meeting like this. I know you got some concerns about your security on the job. Well, I'm gonna be honest. A lot of you are gonna have to go. But a few of you who've been helpful in this transition, such as yourself, well, you can be staying as long as you like. And that's all they want to hear. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Woo, our word. Our word are going to be out there, stuck in the cold. But you just made myself smile so much. Look at the smile all over my black face. Eyes are so worried. Well, it's like $1 million question, right? Where are you going to find the answer to these questions? And are you ready for the answer to those questions? You know, that's where we are right now. People run from the hard questions and want to dwell on lashing out at everybody else for asking the question. People saying you should be fired, Stephen A, because one, you don't really do anything. They're tired of you. Then you got people that just don't like you, period. Yeah, they're going to say that. Malika Andrews, she's rough around the edges. She's not qualified. She's not. She's a novice. And they gave her too much too fast. But she's not going anywhere because, one, she's doing exactly what they want her to do. If you think they didn't want her to say those things on ESPN, she didn't get reprimanded, she didn't get blamed, she had no problems whatsoever. Nothing happened to Malika Andrews when she brought up someone's accusations of something when they died. Nothing happened. Nothing happened what she just did to Miller on his draft night. Nothing happened. Nothing happened when she brought up Joe Mazzulla's college issues when he's already been hired in the NBA and has been hired in the NBA. It wasn't his first time coming in the NBA. So bringing that up meant what? He had been an assistant for years in the NBA, as well as coached in college since then. This was when he was a player. What was the point of bringing that up? Nothing happened. But it just happens to be It's a person of color. Every time. She does it. So us as black people, we're tired. We're tired of Malik Andrews' tactics. But ESPN isn't tired. They like it. So why would they get rid of her? Because there's no outcry to, except for us. You getting it now? Kendrick Perkins can't say Moses Moody. But he can keep his job. As long as Moses Moody don't make an all-star game. And he's covering the all-star game. Well, I'm sitting here right now. I got a couple questions for Moses Moody, Moses Moody, Tutti Frutti, Moobly Goobly. So Kendrick Perkins is not losing his job. Kendrick Perkins is doing exactly what he wants. He signed with LeBron. LeBron's people ain't going nowhere. They don't stick to the script. And as long as they're sticking to the script, they're right where they need to be. They're home. Well, when you look at the gist of everything, what are people going to say when they get to the end of stuff? Oh, Stephen A knows what he's doing. This is why he plays this role. Well, it's like this, man. There's so much people don't know, and so much people would love for these guys to be able to tell you because they get paid to, but they don't want to tell you the truth because it's not in their best interest.
I'll leave that for y'all to handle. But never worry. I mean, never fear. My name might come up sometime in the near future for all I know. Others have been bought out. It's not beyond the realms of comprehension that I could be next. But if it happens, let me tell you what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't blame Disney. You shouldn't blame ESPN. This isn't some corporate lackey taking the whole corporate line. I'm paying attention and I'm reading the tea leaves and I'm telling you what it is. You can either listen or not. Facebook let go of over 10,000 people, if I remember correctly. Didn't Amazon let go of thousands of people? Y'all, am I correct in saying that, Ashley? Sumatra, Gav, am I correct in saying that? Amazon laid off thousands. Facebook laid off thousands. Okay, Netflix had its purge a while back. What do you think was going to happen? See, all of these folks that are feigning, I'm not talking about the people who were let go. My heart and my compassion, I've been there. And for me, it was different, by the way. They were let go because of cuts. I was fired. And when I was fired, I was damn near blackballed because the message was sent, this is not somebody you want to work with. I didn't know if I'd ever have a career again. That's entirely different than being able to go to a prospective employer and saying, I was just a part of cuts and layoffs.
Oh, and there it is. Finally, he's telling the truth. He was fired. I told y'all that before. He was fired. They told him he was fired. But they were still paying out his contract, even though he was fired. And they were blackballing him. All in a contract negotiation. All because Stephen A was keeping it too real. He was too real for the brothers. Well, there's a such thing as being real and being unreal. Now, Stephen A has just told you for the very first time that he was fired and he was being blackballed. It was told that you don't want to work with this guy. So he had to go work for CNN at a cubicle. That's how far he fell off. And Skip Bayless brought him back. He used Kwame Brown's name appearing on First Take. Skip Bayless is the reason he was on First Take. Skip Bayless was the reason there was a show. So he owes Skip Bayless for his second stint at ESPN. And he was not going to blow it. He thought he was too important to ESPN at that time. He had, quite frankly, they eliminated his show, said the ratings was bad. He thought he could negotiate, he could be tough, and they broke him. They broke him. Why did he get broke? Because he was breakable. They controlled all the cards. They held all the punch. There was nothing these people could do. What could you do to them? He just told you he was fired. But they're not going to buy out your contract, Stephen A. That's why you're doing this, though. Because now you realize I got to start creating me a new job. I need to create me a new outlet in case I do get let go. And then they say, well, we don't really have a place for you no more, Stephen A. See, here's where it's unfair for Malika Andrews. People ain't gonna want to interview with her anymore because they don't understand. She identifies more with being Jewish than Black. She's somebody who wasn't very talented in her field, didn't know what she wanted to do in life, and ended up landing on a prestigious job and came in a short period of time in her 20s, came out of a nut house, and look where she's at today. From the nut house to the penthouse. Malika Andrews is coming on up.
You're not being besmirched when that happens. I was besmirched. I don't know by whom, but that was the overall message that was being received by the public. I'm telling you, today is different. It's a numbers game. It's about revenue and ratings. Revenue being paramount at Disney. Why? COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen. The pandemic. Don't you remember the parks being closed? You don't know how much money is generated from the parks? In Anaheim? In Florida? In France? In Shanghai?
Stephen A. ESPN is not losing their jobs because of parks in Anaheim and Disney theme parks. Theme parks are losing money. Yes, they did lose a lot of money, but that it is insured. Okay? They're not getting rid of 7-figure salaries because nobody went to go see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The theme park ride. Actually, the theme parks are back thriving. They're back making money at the parks. So what is the main concern here? What is the major problem, Stephen A? There's one major problem and one major concern. This is more to do with television and cable than it is theme parks, Stephen A. Right. Somebody didn't go to Galaxy's Edge. You know, that's not gonna cause somebody to lose their mind and go insane.
Tokyo, COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic, was not just in the United States of America. It was worldwide. You have any idea how much money was lost? How about the movies? Now you go to the movies, you take your girl or your wife. If you're married with children, you take them. If you're not married but you got children, you take them. If you want to go see it twice, you got to pay twice. Not
The movies are free now, Stephen A. You could pay $20 a month and go see the movies as many times as you want. Yes, the movies are taking a hit. The actual theaters are taking a hit. So a lot of Disney films lost money. But they have their streaming service as well. People are not willing to rush out. So they're making money on the streaming services and people signing up for subscriptions. So the actors are the ones that are being screwed over and saying, hey, we're not getting our money. And I don't understand why we're not getting our money. Those are the actors, sir. They want some answers as to why they're not getting the revenue that they feel that they are owed. And they had to make, certain allowances as they have guarantees in their contracts. This is why Scarlett Johansson felt the way she felt in the situation. And she had to sue because they decided to go immediately to streaming services during the pandemic. Yes, that played a part in it as well as to why certain jobs were being eliminated, Stephen A. Way more than theme parks. But these films aren't losing money. They're making the money back that they're spending. They're just not making $400, $300 million more in profit. Something that Disney wants to thrive in. That's where they thrive. They'll make $1 billion movie, which means that they're going to spend 300 million making it, and then a gross revenue of 700 million or better, mostly billions. So now you got 400, 500 million in revenue. That's where they want to go. Exactly. So yeah, I'll let the Patreons come up here and speak if they want to. It's up to them. Oh, absolutely. When you see certain things implied, or you would say suggested, rather, you look at it for what it is. You don't sit there and go, oh, I'm just saying it because I just want to imply. What you say it for, Chief? You're looking for any excuse except for the real reason why. And Stephen A just really don't know why these things took place. As he says, I don't know who didn't like me at the company. I didn't know why I was being replaced. You should know. That's how I feel. You should know. You know better. Jason, what's up? Well, he was up there. That was Jason Johnson. He had the quickest start and exit in the history of Patreon. As far as the live chat, that was a quick chat. The Fast franchise is still marketable, even if the movies are terrible. People still want to see them. They go out and they make money off of it. So even in a pandemic, Fast 10 has provided people with entertainment. And they keep making like it, like what's his name said, who was it? Ludacris. He's like, why do they keep making the film? He's like, if you're making $1 billion off a movie every time you make it, why would you stop? It don't make any sense. And he's getting his 20 million a pop just off that. He's cool with it. And Vin Diesel is just raking in the money. Oh, you think this is going to be the end of Fast and the Furious? Absolutely not. There's going to be more to come. All right, X. Yeah, you already you got a lot going on.
All right.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't even hear. X, I hear everybody like it's like he in a car. But shouts out to X, man. Thank him for coming by. Appreciate it. Oh yeah. Well, that's that's what happens all the time. When you listen to certain people like Stephen A. Smith, this is what they do. They run this direction, or they say, "Oh, this is what could happen," and it was unjust what happened to me last time. Then why didn't you learn from last? When you didn't learn from your mistakes last time, and you're consistently doing the same thing over and over again, that's a problem. That is an absolute problem.
just for entry to the movies, but for the popcorn and the soda and the candy and everything like that. But streaming, you get to order it once and watch it as many times as you want to without having to go to the theater. Why do you think Disney said we've lost $5.5 billion? I understand transgender issues and the LGBTQ community has its things that it wants addressed. No shade on that whatsoever. I'm a black man. I stand with you. I'm not for prejudice against anyone. The flip side, however, is when you had folks boycotting or protesting outside the walls of Disney because they wanted Disney to speak up about the don't say gay policy. Sure, you speak up. It's the right thing to do. No problem. But you knew DeSantis would come back. You knew folks on the right who supported him and supported that ideology would speak out. You knew eventually that could potentially have a detrimental impact on Disney's bottom line. Again, not these people who would let go. I'm only talking numbers. I'm bringing in a plethora of things that affects your bottom line as a business. Budweiser's going through it because of the transgender person, Mulvaney, that they had on one of its cans. They talked about how much money they're losing. Chick-fil-A got into a controversy because they got a bit political and people think that it's going to affect them. You've got folks on other side of the ideology that galvanize and speak out against such positions. And how do they exact revenge and retribution upon you? By affecting your bottom line. That's business. I assure you, as God is my witness, if Disney didn't lose $5.5 billion, Jeff Van Gundy wouldn't be gone. David Pollack wouldn't be gone. Todd McShay and Jalen Rose and Neil Everett and others wouldn't be gone. More cuts wouldn't be on the way. Following the cuts behind the scenes, I didn't bring up the producers and the editors and all of these wonderful people that I work with that lost their jobs. Or
He's yelling because that's his stick. You know, he thinks because he yells, it means something. Like it means something more because he's yelling. He's telling you what you already know. Duh, if Disney didn't lose money, people would have their jobs. Yeah, we understand that. We know that. That's like why we're here. Because we know that part of it. That part we get. Now we need to get to the part we don't get. Because according to everything he's saying, yeah, according to everything that he was saying, it's not necessarily all the way true what he's stating, people. What he's stating is a little different from what you're used to hearing. It's more than that. It's more related to not just what they lost in film in the movie theaters. If the show was doing what it was supposed to do, the networks a lot of people would have their jobs. Like he said, there are white people that's making more money than him at ESPN. Why their jobs ain't gone? Their jobs aren't gone because, just like yourself, they make too much to lay off. Well, that's what happened. Stephen A got on his knees to keep his job. Pretty much. Yeah, Screaming A knows his time is up. But we'll end it here. Well, we don't want to go all into his rant. Plus, I got more stuff to do on One Crack News. So you might want to go to that one because that's going to be explosive. I'm out. Don't forget to subscribe Kwame Brown Bus Life, Kwame Brown Bus Life 2.0. Welcome to HD TV with the two eyes. Seahawks Jose Rodriguez, Ticket TV, Armando Black TV, the Dreamers Pro. He does a good job. Who else is doing a good job out there? I know Angela Stanton King. She got her own platform. She's got the Angie House. That's the Auntie's House that she's got going on. Don't forget to support her channel. And that's it, man. Thank all y'all in the chat who was here the whole time. Appreciate it.